was just a video saying, oh my goodness, this is ruining my future, and everybody talks about AI like this, but something was just a little off. I've seen previous videos about it. Some do talk about the end times. This artist talking about it's ruining their future. Let me look into it. Let me look into what Sora 2 is. Sora 2 is a new video generation AI app, and it's by the makers of ChatGPT, so as soon as I immediately learned that, I knew that this thing was bigger than what I already thought. I look up Sora 2 on TikTok, and I was confused. It was just a bunch of anime videos, and I was scrolling, I was like, nobody's really, what is this? You know? Keep on scrolling, and I see just more anime videos, and I click on one. I'm like, is this it? And I watch it for a good couple seconds. And I am not the biggest anime watcher, and it was Demon Slayer, I'm pretty sure that this was. I'm not a big Demon Slayer fan. I've only watched like a couple episodes, so I didn't even know if this was an already existing episode or what. But how it first looked caught me off guard, because I didn't even know I was watching an AI video for the first couple seconds, and I feel ashamed to admit that. But I'm watching it, and there's this moment in the video. The guy turns, and clicked in my head. Oh my gosh, I am watching an AI video. I continue to watch it, already immediately knowing it's AI and pointing out every single flaw, but it shocked me. It exceeded my expectations on what AI animation already was. AI animation was sloppy, disgusting, unnatural even, okay? Somebody's picking up something, they're picking it up with 5 fingers, next thing you know, they're picking it up with 600. The item that they're picking up was a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and now it's a bowl of spaghetti. It was weird, it didn't pick up patterns, it didn't pick up recognition, it was just sloppy. A bunch of images put together to hopefully make something called an animation. So every time I saw it, I was like, oh, that's an AI animation. Oh, that's AI. That's nothing. Until Sora 2. I am an artist. I am also an animator. I know when something is human mistake, and I know when something is AI mistake. I could tell, watching this video, me looking at it through artist's eyes, this was AI. The way that slight things would blur, and it looks like they put it in a frame rate generator, and the way some movement just looked wanky or too realistic for it to be anime, or the way there was no life when they moved or when they fought. I could tell, but could others? Looking in the comments, people asking what episode this was and that they've never seen it before. People wondering why the voices sound so weird and if they replaced the voice actors with AI. But not confused on the animation, thinking this was either real human work or an episode that they missed. It was heartbreaking to see. I don't want to be that person, and I never am that person who looks at something and immediately thinks my hopes and dreams are gonna fall off the drain. But with this one, something was slightly different. I felt like my stomach did a cartwheel and just there was only funnel cake in it. I just felt weird. And I've never really felt that way for AI before. I've never liked it. But AI has never been such a big threat to me that I felt weird, like too weird, until I saw the Sora 2 AI videos. I dug into it a bit more. Is it just anime that it can replicate? No, it's videos that I had to look at in order to be like, this looks too smooth, this looks unnatural, this looks unreal, there's no actual video evidence of this anywhere else on the internet but here. And Sora 2 is something that I do feel is a threat to artists. Yo, what's up? Editor J here with some amazing news. On Monday, the Motion Picture Association urged OpenAI to take immediate action and take all of the copyrighted material off their app. And they did. So now you cannot make copyrighted AI videos. And what I mean by that is you can't use copyrighted characters, can't use copyrighted sources, you can't do anything like that. I still do believe that Sora 2 is just too advanced, and even the videos that are real life stuff and everything like that are still insane, but at least animation and everything is safe for now, especially copyrighted stuff. Definitely also has really bad reviews for the app, especially after now the fact you cannot use copyrighted characters, a lot of people were only using it for that purpose. So I am really glad for that. But yeah, just a little great freaking update, okay? That's really all I have to say. Sora, frick you, huh? How about... I don't even know how to, like, I don't even know how to put this into words, because when I first saw the Sora AI videos, and I first, like, looked into it, I was shocked. Like, again, I am not that person who thinks of AI is going to steal my job, and if I want to make art, I want to make art. Nobody can stop me from doing that. But just looking at the animation and how much it's grown and progressed over only a couple years just made me feel queasy and uneasy. People don't understand. And when I say people, I don't mean artists. I mean just regular, average people who don't do art, who don't understand art. People do not understand the impact that AI leaves to a society. And I think we've kind of grown easy for it. You know, we've adapted to the fact that AI is just going to be in our lives forever and there's nothing that we can do about it. You know, people using AI for their homework, or people using AI to fix grammar mistakes, or people using AI to just give them ideas on what else they should say in an email. Little things like that. That, when you first look at it, it's just, this is AI. This is whatever. But you dig into it a little bit more. AI helping you write a little more of an email, doing more work than you have. AI helping you with a video script just a little too much. Then next thing you know, AI is stealing writers' jobs. You can't come up with an art concept, so you ask AI to give you whatever the base is. And you, oh, well, this is good now, but then you're using AI more for just a base. Then you're tracing AI. Then you're just using AI art. Then you forget how to draw. AI steals drawers and painters' jobs. AI animation. You need an idea of where your characters are gonna go, how you want this animation to flow, or you want just something to see. Next thing you know, you're using AI to fill in your frame rate. Just make things a little cleaner, make things a little easier. Bam, AI's taking animation jobs. It's kind of sad to see how much we have gatekeeped and like gunned down AI, or we're gonna only use it for this and we're only gonna use it for that. And that's how it started. AI was only supposed to be used for those things that we just needed a little extra help on. But now we're not even doing it. Now people are not even trying to do animation. Why bother when I can just ask a bot to do it? People don't even try with art. Why try learning anatomy when, again, I could just ask an AI to do it? That barely knows how to do anatomy, but, you know? Why learn how to write and why learn how to make a script and do all these steps when I can just ask AI to do it? The human mind and how it's developed to understand AI has plummeted. AI used to be something that people were afraid of, people were scared of. And it still is, but not to the extent of how it used to be. Now AI is just something that we treat as slaves and do our dirty work. And if we don't even want to learn a skill, make AI do it. Why learn how to bake when I can just ask a bot to make me a recipe? That is the danger of AI. And that is why I am almost so shaken up by this Sora videos. It is that AI is getting just too close to the sun. Just too close to how human work is. It doesn't have any emotion. It doesn't. And I, you know, like, obviously everybody should know that. But to the average person, it looks fine. To the average person, this is nothing new. To the average person, they just might think it's an episode they missed. To the average person, it is real footage. To the average person, it is something that has existed by human hands. And that is the threat of AI. We were never supposed to get this far, and I feel like everybody knows that. This is a threat to artists. This is a threat to so many jobs. This is a threat to so many of us, humans speaking, not just artists at this point. And that's what I really want so many people to learn. There are people in my life who use AI on a daily basis to the point where it's almost sad to see. There are people in my life who don't know how to write emails anymore because AI's been doing it for so long. There are people who have never learned how to draw and just use AI to do it. There was one time one of my friends made me a AI generated picture of myself. Wow, it feels uneasy. it feels uneasy, the fact that people think it's so natural at this point. Again, us as humans, we were never supposed to get this far. Art is a form. Art is an expression of human emotion, regardless of what you're drawing. You could be drawing goon work. That's your emotion that you're feeling. It's still an emotion that you're feeling. But now, with AI, you show me something that has no human emotion. That's just stealing. Generated something that this bot didn't feel anything. There's nothing to this artwork. No matter how appealing it looks to the human eye, no matter if it might know anatomy, no matter if the animation might be smoother, it has no emotion. I can't imagine somebody making this anymore. It's something that wasn't made by a person, so I can already tell everything wrong about it. And that's my problem with AI. And that's why I feel like more people should have a problem with AI. It shouldn't just be me, guys. It shouldn't just be artists who feel a disdain for it. It should be everybody. AI should have never gotten this far. And maybe if more people were out there to be like, oh, you know, just maybe this is too much. Maybe we shouldn't make this. But people, billionaires who just want more money, I just, like, AI is something that hurts the average person. It hurts me, it hurts you, it hurts your job, it hurts my future job. But nobody cares because it's easier. Life is easier with AI, and I think a lot of people get to that point in life where, you know, life gets hard. Work gets hard for me sometimes. Too much homework, too much notes, that I can understand why people just, if I use AI this one time, if I generate this one picture, you know, if I do this one thing, maybe just skip out on this hard part of life, this hard, rocky little point of my day. But then it becomes an everyday thing. And that's the harmful part. I do want to leave a little positive note. I think I don't want to be a negative Nancy this whole video. I've stated this in my last, you know, AI video, but I do want to state in this one too. AI will never replicate what a human can make. You can be a beginner artist. You can be somebody that just learned how to draw and is still learning. No matter what of AI could look visually appealing to most people and yours don't, yours has something so much powerful, and it's the human motion, the human mind concepted into a drawing, onto paper. You made that yourself. Something in your mind happened where you had an idea to draw something, and it happened. People who make paintings with deep stories and deep emotion, it makes us feel something. Never have I looked at an AI drawing, AI picture, AI anything. Never have I looked at something that's AI and I've felt any other emotion besides disappointment or frustration. The fact I keep seeing AI art. I've never felt something. I've never. But looking at human work and human art, there's a story, there's an emotion, there's a point in time that you felt some way, that you put it on a piece of paper. And I'm seeing with my own eyes now. That's the raw beauty of human art. And it's something that AI will never replicate. And I feel like a lot of artists don't get that yet. They just feel like AI visually looks good. And the Sora video visually looks real. And you feel like people will fall for it. And obviously, there's people who are dumb. People are gonna fall for it. Sure, visually, it looks like something that's too close, but it's uncanny. It's something that's not human. And you know that. And I think a lot of people do. I think everybody knows when they see AI stuff, when they learn it's AI, and even when they don't know, there's something off. They don't feel something powerful. When you watch an anime battle, you feel hyped. You feel like, oh my goodness, this is so cool. You see all the special effects, the animation, it's beautiful. But when you see an AI do it, it's just a little less hype. It's something that you don't feel as passionate and, oh my gosh, to. There's just something off. And that's something AI can never get. The feeling of human art, the feeling of human creation. Sure, AI was made by humans, but it'll never replicate what humans can make. And I think that's what a lot of you artists out there need to understand. There are so many of you that I've seen on TikTok, that I've seen on Insta, that are scared about Sora. And I am too. I can't sit here and say I'm not after everything I just said in this video. I am. But I also understand what I just told you. AI will never replicate human emotion. And that's what you have to understand too. And I hope like a lot of people can watch this video and watch it to the end where I say this and just have a little bit more of an understanding and a little bit more hope on what AI will be in the future. And that's really like all I can give you, because at the end of the day, I can't give you advice on something that I am not feeling. I am confident of AI may be getting destroyed in the future. I am confident of it'll never replicate human emotion, but there is something in me that's just a little scared that this looks too real and it's gotten too far. But end of the day, all we can do is know that we have something AI doesn't, and it's the most powerful component, okay? That's really all I had to say for this video. I know it's kind of a bit sadder than I usually be joking about, but it's something that is a real topic, and I really did need to talk about it. I really do hope you enjoyed. I also do want to say my commissions are open if you want to support an artist. I am really also trying to hit 2,000 subscribers, and we are pretty close to that goal, so if you guys could help me out, that would be freaking amazing. Like, I still haven't gotten over how corny that is. But yeah. Also, I do have a Discord server for artists, you know. I know I've talked about this whole thing of AI not supporting artists and it being a major threat. If you do want a safe space for you to share your art, for you to share your writing, for you to share stories about your OCs and lore, I do have a server for that called the Interstellar Interspace that you can join. A link will be in the bio and maybe comments if it doesn't work in bio. But that's really all I have to say for this video. Hope you enjoyed.
YouTube animators have some of the worst reputations on the internet, given that every 5 minutes it seems, one of them is being cancelled for doing something horrendous. From animators that are trying to stick their inflation fetish onto children, to a formerly beloved creator that's been accused of turning to the alt-right, in this video we'll be going through the absolute animaniacs that represent the community. If you're new to the channel, hello, this is part 4 of my Animayhem series. I've made 3 videos that are very similar to this in the past. They're going to be linked down in the description in case you want to check them out later. I might make small little references to previous episodes, but you don't need to watch them to understand what's going on here. Everything that might need to be explained will be in due time. With that said, we're going to kick this video off with an animator that you might already be aware of. He's an old relic of the niche who left the platform many moons ago, but he's recently made a return with a series of controversial videos. Allow me to remind you of Andre Turbia. So just to catch you guys up to speed, in case you don't know who he is or don't remember his name, this is Andre Turbia. Several years ago, he was one of the most popular animators on YouTube. To give him his flowers, he was doing something that not a lot of people were doing at the time, or even have done since, which was make content that fused animation with commentary. So for example, some of his most popular videos were related to KSI and Logan Paul back when they were boxing each other, or discussing why he hates family channels, or discussing James Charles, and so on and so forth. These videos were extremely clickable, with much of his most popular content reaching view counts in the millions, or even tens of millions in some cases. And on top of that, his videos were generally well liked, with Andre reaching almost 3 million subscribers, and with him creating a total of 75 videos that passed 1 million views. However, several years ago, his content started drastically slowing down. From there, his channel started growing cobwebs as people slowly began to forget about it. However, in late 2024, he would come back with a video discussing child rearing, revealing that he had 2 young children. People realized that their births lined up with when his content began slowing down, so in theory, he probably stopped in order to focus on family. The truth is, given the amount of views he's generated on the platform and the amount of revenue I estimate that he's made on here, he could probably retire if he wanted to and just live off savings and investments for the rest of his life if he's smart with it. Andre probably doesn't have anything to prove to anyone anymore. And after yet another lengthy hiatus, he would return to YouTube in September 2025 following the assassination of Charlie Kirk, with a series of videos that have been deemed quite controversial by a portion of his audience. Over the past few weeks, he's made commentary videos discussing topics on what's been deemed as a conservative perspective. So, for example, he made content discussing why Emma Watson's interview on J.K. Rowling fell flat, or how Netflix has recently been prioritizing social messaging towards children over quality storytelling. And I'm going to play a clip from his J.K. Rowling video because it's important to this story later on. So this is a flavor of Andre's perspective.
And in June of 2020, J.K. Rowling published a long essay online basically saying she's worried about how fast-changing ideas on gender could mess with protections for women and girls, like safe spaces in bathrooms, sports, or shelters, drawing from her own real-life experience during her early rough times. Single mom on welfare, domestic abuse survivor, someone who had seen shelters firsthand and understood all their ins and outs. To her, it was about shielding the vulnerable, the kids, who might get caught in the crossfire of policies that blur lines too much, too quickly. And if you've ever cracked open any Harry Potter book, you wouldn't be surprised that she held these beliefs. The entire story boils down to protecting the truth, protecting the vulnerable, and standing firm in what you believe.
But the reason I'm discussing him today is because of a video he made titled How I Became Alt-Right. And this video set off alarm bells within the YouTube and animation community. Within the r/YouTube drama subreddit, this was, as of the time I wrote the script for this video, the second most upvoted post made this month. So this is apparently big news. However, while that was the title, it wasn't the whole truth. The video wasn't him just unmasking himself and going, haha, I was alt-right the entire time. It was him responding to the allegations that he was alt-right. His argument was that he wasn't alt-right, he was actually just Romanian. I kid you not. You see, Andre was born and raised and lived in Romania, and for anyone that doesn't really know, Eastern Europe tends to be quite traditional. The problem lies in the fact that one country's left wing is another country's right wing. This is called the Overton window. So let's take the USA for example, okay? One thing that might be considered left-wing in the USA, that very same thing might be considered right-wing in, say, Norway or Sweden. He was arguing that he was just a traditional Romanian, and left-wing liberals in the States were viewing him as some sort of alt-right Nazi. Biting back against the hate, this is what he had to say.
What also baffles me is the sheer arrogance of some of the more intense left-leaning people who commented on my previous video. Not all of them, just to be clear, but I'm talking about the type of people who get a sick pleasure from bullying creators into submission. And I bet they expected me to come out with an apology saying something like, oh, thank you for educating me. Please don't cancel me. And if that's the case, sorry, I'm not afraid of this hive mind mentality. I'm not afraid of being cancelled. I've cancelled myself by not even being active on YouTube these past few years. And it's the most liberating feeling to not be tied to any commitment, but instead to be able to say whatever I believe to be true. There is nothing you can do to me. Now, I do empathize with people who have followed my content for years, and because I never really spoke about my core values or political views, they may have gotten the wrong impression about what I stand for. And I will admit that at times the leftist propaganda on YouTube even got me fooled, and I may have regurgitated leftist talking points without even realizing it. But as I took a step back, I let all of that wash off of me. So to those who may feel betrayed, I respect your decision to unsubscribe if that's what you want to do. To be honest, I myself was surprised to see how different a portion of my audience sees things. I guess this goes to show how far people's perspectives can drift away when years pass and you don't really keep a steady connection to them. But I'm not even sure what exactly offends them other than the fact that I'm not a carbon copy of the influencers who pander to the leftist echo chamber ideology.
Once more, this video would see a lot of hate and pushback, specifically from people saying that the trans debate shouldn't even be up for discussion, and that trans people deserve respect and empathy regardless of their gender identity, given that they're human beings. Over the past week on Social Blade, Andre's subscriber count has been in freefall, but given that he's now uploading content on his terms, completely uncensored and unafraid by audience backlash, it's going to be very interesting to see where this goes from here. I have a sneaky feeling that something even more punchy and controversial is on the horizon for Andre, so I'm going to keep my eye on this one and if something crazy happens, then I'll include him again in a future episode. But on to the next tale, we're soldiering on with quite a familiar story, that being an animation channel that is marketed towards children, but contains grossly inappropriate content. This is not the first time that we've covered channels like this. There was Shappy's Way in part 1, and then Rocky Raccoon in part 2, and who could forget the various Bluey-Gate channels in part 3. But honestly, I can't lie, out of all of them, the channel that we'll be discussing right now might be considered the worst. And that channel is known as Teensy Crew. Now, first things first here, I know when you hear the name Teensy Crew, it sounds like this content must be made for teenagers. However, seeing the content that they animate, I think that's a bit of a stretch. Their content is marketed towards children, with them using meme characters that are popular with online kids. I don't think I need to go into any detail describing what's wrong with each of these thumbnails for their shorts. Some of them are showing straight up booty cheeks, or have balls covering female characters' chests. To be honest, showing anything here might get me demonetized. If this part is blurred, it means that I've had monetization issues with this video. But I'll put on screen now some of the less severe thumbnails for their shorts that I think I could potentially get away with. And I'm sorry, how is this allowed? In this short, you have Tung 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 Sahur, the Italian brain rot guy, quite literally wearing a pair of knickers on his face as a mask. Like, this is perverted. Ask yourself, who is watching this? Because it's definitely not Karen, the 35-year-old HR manager. It's kids! Scientists need to study this sort of thing, because my hypothesis is that your child could get dumber within 5 minutes of watching this utter slop. And I have a sneaky suspicion that whoever's behind this channel has some sort of pregnancy or maybe inflation kink. And the reason I think that is that a common thread seen amongst many of their videos is that the characters are often portrayed as pregnant or inflated. In one of their shorts, their most popular short in fact, it shows Thanos from Squid Game piercing Junhee's stomach, and then a bunch of water squirts out and a hand removes the baby. And I guess you could argue that this is meant to be some sort of satisfying content, but I'm doxing this again. I'm not buying it. I know that the people behind this channel know exactly what they're doing. But whether it's meant to be or not, Teensy Crew was able to garner tens of millions of views between late 2024 and early 2025. And while most of their growth has halted over the past few months, it still averages about 100,000 views a day. Whether YouTube actually does anything about it, we'll have to wait and see. And it's just crazy to me that after seeing everything I have, this is still relatively mild for me. If you've seen these videos before, you'll know that they generally get worse the longer the video goes on, and this is only our second story out of 4. But because we're halfway through these stories, I'd just quickly like to remind you that if you haven't already, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're very fastly approaching 200,000 subscribers. It would be an absolute dream to reach it before the end of the year. So yeah, like, subscribe, get active down in the comment section. Let me know if there's an animator that you'd like to see me cover next. I'm sorry I haven't been able to get to all of the comments so far. There are just so many weird animators still to get to in future episodes. I promise Birdie and Potama and those kind of guys we will eventually get to. But in the meantime, I need a break from YouTube animators pushing their fetishes onto their audience. It's time for a unique story concerning the largest creator that we'll be discussing today, and is one of the most mind-boggling dramas that we've had in this series. This is the drama of Ethobot. In case you don't know Ethobot, this channel specializes in making Minecraft animations. Minecraft animations have been very popular on YouTube for a long time now, with many of Minecraft's most iconic videos being narratives told through this medium. And in the case of Ethobot, he's been able to garner 8 million subscribers throughout his online career. However, in early 2025, Ethobot would be caught up in a controversy with another very large channel known as Animal Mace, who makes very similar content. Animal Mace will come out on Twitter and at Team YouTube, stating that 3 of their videos have been unfairly taken down because Ethobot had been abusing the copyright system, also linking a document that we'll dive into. This document is an eternity long, so we won't be able to dive into everything, especially given that Animal Mace and Ethobots have quite a long history together. Animal Mace actually used to work for Ethobots, and within the document makes some allegations about Ethobot as a person. These allegations about Ethobot as a person I'm not really going to dive into, at least not until a little bit later when there's extra evidence supporting the fact, because what could I even say about it? I don't know Ethobot as a person, and I can't just take Animal Mace's word for it. Discord screenshots prove that the two were, at a point in time, friends, but have since clearly fallen out pretty badly. The main topics that we'll discuss in this segment are copyrighted thumbnails and someone known as Emma. So first, with the copyright, these are the 3 thumbnails in question that got hit. On the left are the thumbnails that I imagine to be Animal Mace's, and on the right, Ethobots. It's no secret here that one creator was very clearly heavily inspired by another. Animal Mace stated that they didn't intend to copy per se, they just had different thumbnails tested, and the thumbnails that were the most similar to Ethobots won, given that the two channels had a lot of audience overlap. As a YouTuber myself, I do think that this is a plausible excuse. Big channels do have the funds to make multiple thumbnails and test them, and if you're a fan of Ethobots, it stands to reason that you would also be a fan of Animal Mace's too. When it comes to plagiarism on YouTube, I completely understand being upset if you make something that is original and unique, and someone sees that, decide to basically copy it word for word or frame for frame or pixel for pixel, and then their copy outperforms your original idea. It happens all the time, but usually it's larger channels that do it to smaller ones, not smaller to larger. The line between inspiration and plagiarism can be a thin one, and it's also one that's undefined. Different people could judge it differently. But if you think that Animal Mace definitely plagiarized off Ethobot, and therefore Ethobot has a very credible leg to stand on, what I'm about to tell you might just change your mind. Because within the document, Animal Mace provided evidence that Ethobot had done the exact same thing to another content creator literally dozens of times over. On the left, here are thumbnails, the majority, if not all of which, were created by Amphmau, who has 24 million subscribers. And on the right, Ethobots. In fact, in quite a funny twist of fate, Animal Mace provided evidence that one of the thumbnails that they received a copyright complaint about was itself essentially copied from another creator. Now, if you were to ask me personally, I'm not really a fan of any of these. In Austin Kleon's book, Steal Like an Artist, he makes the claim that all art is essentially theft. Every creative has some sort of inspiration somewhere where they got the idea. But his point is that to steal from one person is plagiarism, but to steal from various different sources, taking a little bit from this and a little bit from that, that's what makes it a new, unique, and original idea. Every single one of these thumbnails, Animal Mace's and Ethobots, seem to me to only be inspired by one. However, Ethobot was completely hypocritical sending out these copyright notices when his channel was guilty of the exact same thing. Animal Mace also alleged that Ethobot claimed that he was flattered that people would use his work as inspiration, so this would be contradicting that too. And we have a cringe warning here, by the way, because at one point, Ethobot even got his mum to message associates of Animal Mace threatening legal action. I mean, this is where the drama gets kind of embarrassing, because what do you mean you're a grown-ass man and you're gonna get your mum to fight your battles? His mum sent a bunch of quite threatening messages saying that he had trademarked his videos, which isn't even a thing, and she came across as quite ill-informed about copyright law. Provided this is legitimate and the document isn't full of lies, I'm sorry, there are enough views to go round. Ethobot's channel was still at an all-time high in terms of views. He still averages millions a day. If this was really such a problem, Ethobot should have directly contacted Animal Mace and told him to stop, open up a line of dialogue. Of course, that would also mean that Ethobot himself would have to stop plagiarizing. But of course, the strange behavior doesn't stop there, and in fact, it might get even worse. At the start of this, I mentioned a girl called Emma. She was once a collaborator on Ethobot's channel, and when she was working for him, she was, dare I say it, a teenager. On the document, she claimed that when she worked for him, she was about 16 to 17 years old, and she came out with her own allegations about Ethobot, who she accused of some quite shady behavior. Firstly, she alleged that he was controlling towards her. In what some might call an abusive relationship, he apparently discouraged her from dating. In some instances, she apparently went unpaid too. So this guy, if it's true, is definitely stingy, and what Emma had to say about him definitely matches up to Animal Mace's personal anecdotes. Also, given her age and the fact that she was in high school, apparently the work hours were unfair. On this series, I have spoken about hiring teenagers before, and I just don't understand how these channels, who have millions of subscribers, could be so blind. If you've hired a teenager, someone whose main priority it is to get an education, you fit your schedule around them. It's not the other way around. Otherwise, you don't hire them in the first place. Actually, Ethobot allegedly told her multiple times that she's replaceable, which might have been another manipulation tactic that he employed to keep her on the hook. The document went on to describe the toxicity that Ethobot showed towards Emma when the two met up in real life. The two attended VidCon, and on the first day, she claimed to have met up with her friends instead of Ethobot, and his mother DM'd her saying that she wasn't going to pay for her hotel bills using her business card because she didn't spend enough time with him to classify it as a business expense. This is very strange for her to get caught up in, and it comes across again as financial abuse and a little bit exploitative. Between that and threatening to replace her and the controlling behavior that she alleges, I don't like the power dynamic that Ethobot and his mum have towards her. Also, am I the only one that thinks it's weird that he apparently cried in the bathroom after she told him that she wasn't going to be meeting up with him? Like, that's a little bit sus. Given the allegations made by this document, and again, they are allegations, I don't know Ethobot personally, but after all of these testimonies given by several different people, it seems as though he thinks he's Littlefinger from Game of Thrones, and his mum thinks that she's Olenna Tyrell, puppeteering everything that's going on. Like, you make Minecraft animations, it's not that deep. Like, there is no need, as probably a millionaire or maybe even multi-millionaire, to be exploiting teenage workers and not paying them a fair salary for the contributions that they make to your product. If what's been said in this document is true, his behavior and his mother's behavior towards the people that he interacted with is bullying, pure and simple. But from Minecraft animation to Roblox animation, there is some serious meat on the bone for this next one. This is the cancellation of Ribs. Now, Ribs is a bit of a special case because this is the very first time in the Animehem series that we have a female groomer. What a great day for feminism this is. If you've seen previous episodes of Animehem, then you might understand that this case has quite a few overlaps with the case of Notiv. And just in case anyone wants to check out Notiv's story after this one, it's in part 3. Now, the major similarities are that A, Ribs, just like Notiv, was a Roblox animator. B, the age gap between herself and the person she pursued was roughly the same as Notiv's. And C, just like Notiv in the previous episode, a huge Google document was created, filled to the brim with screenshots, which attempt to make the case that Ribs' behavior was out of order and that what she did could have very well caused her to end up in prison. Now, this document isn't as comprehensive as the 55-page one made on Notiv, but it still seems pretty damning. Especially considering that faking all of these screenshots would take an incredibly long time. The document alleges that Ribs, born in 2004 and being roughly 19 years old at the time, attempted to pursue a sexual relationship with a 15-year-old male. Given that she was legally an adult and he wasn't of the age of consent yet, heavy criticism has come her way. In fact, the document alleges that the idea that he was obsessed with her was an aspect that she desired. Screenshots within this document show that the Roblox animator was aware that the user she was talking to was 15, and that she decided to seduce him because she was, in her words, bored and lonely, even going as far as sending him images of her body. The image sent is unknown, but given the context of this conversation, it appears as though she might have sent an image that was at best provocative, and at worst, nude. And given that the person she was talking to was 15, she may have sent a naked image to a minor. Let me clarify that this isn't confirmed, but it is a possibility. And some of the messages exchanged were straight up horn dog territory. In the span of just 3 minutes, the conversation went from Genshin Impact to things she wanted him to do to her, which if I spoke them into existence, this video would get sent straight to the Shadow Realm, and I'd be like homeless Squidward shaking around a tin can of change.
Spare change. Spare change, ma'am.
In the end, the pair's relationship was said to break down, and later he confronted her about it. Ribs, however, refused to take the blame. In fact, she said that part of the reason she was sorry was that she might get in trouble for it. And, well, eventually she did get in trouble for it after a tweet was posted to Twitter which linked the document and the alleged evidence. For all intents and purposes, that was the end of Ribs on the internet. Just like the Trunchbull, people started throwing rotten food at her, she went far, far away, and children everywhere were safe from that point onward. Her YouTube account, which had more than 600,000 subscribers, was terminated, and all that remains of her now are re-uploads of her old content. During her final days on YouTube, Ribs kind of went off the deep end, saying that everything was fake and telling people that she wanted them to die, so I doubt that Ribs will ever return to the internet. Then again, stranger things have happened. Like, it would be incredibly strange if you guys enjoyed this video, but then you didn't care to check out the rest of the Animehem series. That would be even stranger than a Ribs return. We've got much more of the same in the Animehem playlist. If this is the first episode in the series you're seeing, feel free to watch the rest of them in order. Or if you missed out on the last episode, or episode 2, they're all in there. Click on the screen right now to give them a watch. If you enjoyed this, I dare you to say that you don't enjoy those too. With that said, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.
This is a case of AI and how it's negatively impacting artists beyond what you just imagined. This is an artist on Instagram. They also have a Twitter presence called, and I'm so sorry, I'm not going to pronounce it right, but Onini-chan. And they write, "Please stop tracing or reproducing my work without credit. Please do not use my illustrations to mislead many people. Never use my illustrations for AI training. Since 2025, things have gotten worse than simple unauthorized reposts," which, for some extra context, Onini-chan is an artist who has a gorgeous art style. They always put in their caption, "Repost is prohibited, don't repost my art," this, that, and the third. You know, it's literally on the art piece itself. All their links, they have Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and their signature, and repost is prohibited, okay? It's always on there. And people be reposting their work. Onini adds, "Some people deliberately feed my art into AI, distort it, then present it as if it were AI generated. This is misleading and dishonest. Please stop deceiving people. Due to repeated incidents like this, which hurt both me and my fans, I have decided to not post any new illustrations from 2025 onward. Back in 2022 and 2023, I drew these simply to share the joy of art with everyone, and people were moved by them. Creating them was genuinely fun for me, and I hoped they would bring happiness to others. Now, however, they're being called AI generated, and it has become something that disappoints people. This is truly painful for me. Posting my illustrations now only come with risk. I even worry that I might never be able to share new artwork on social media again. This is such a truly painful outcome. To everyone who has supported me until now, I'm truly sorry. This is awful. What a cruel time. I can't post my art anymore. And it's so sad. It's a side-by-side of their artwork. This is posted in 2023, the original, and then on Pinterest, it is an AI work. And you can see this AI piece is literally their artwork that was fed and run into AI. Because it's a hand holding a bunch of like drawing utensils. You can see there's a stylus, there's a pen, pencil, a paintbrush, and then all those utensils are still visible in the fingers of this AI slop anime girl with the same rainbows placement in the background, the same brushes, etc. And then another creator on TikTok was copying without credit, where you can see the side by side, where it looks like they were like drawing the piece without credit. And then this is an altered version of the piece where you can see, look, all the watermarks got all crunchy because it was run through AI. Where the original, which is this piece, right? All the watermarks, super obvious, super crispy clean. I also love how they blend the watermarks into the art piece. It adds for like a really like sci-fi look that I really enjoy. And then as you can see, people are in the comments saying, I think it's AI. Wow, nice AI, AI. And like, it's completely understandable Onini's frustration, because if people see this piece and they see the crunchy words, they're gonna be like, oh shoot, right? Like, did Onini use AI? And it's not the case. Onini clearly has an original work with all the logos and everything looking completely normal, but because somebody fed it through AI, it makes it look like Onini used AI for the piece. And on the graphic, it says, they deliberately AI edited this, making hundreds of thousands of people think it's AI generated. And then there's also a big warning here. Onini-chan doesn't use TikTok or Pinterest. If you see my art there, it was uploaded without my permission, which is always a sad part too, because Onini's artwork, beautiful. They have like an extremely visual and eye-catching style, which is gorgeous. People probably saw this and were like, yup, time to take it and yoink it and upload it to Pinterest, hee hee. Even though I'm gonna, I don't know, clearly ignore the fact that it says repost is prohibited right here. And then it sucks too, because Onini had to make this post, and this was only a couple months ago. This is the full size for the graphic, where it says heads up about some problematic apps, Pinterest and TikTok. Onini-chan doesn't use Pinterest or TikTok. It seems like people think I'm on those platforms because my art is being reposted so much. I would be happy if you could spread it. Honestly, reporting doesn't seem to work well on those platforms. If you find a post using somebody's art without credit, please leave a comment like, this is reposted art. The real artist is blank. Original on X or Instagram with a link. This isn't just happening to me. It's affecting tons of other artists too. Even small comments help people realize what's going on. The more people speak up, the more awareness spreads, and that directly supports real artists. Thank you so much to all the fans who helped me in the comments. And that's the saddest part of it all, right? It's that like, because of people like envy or whatever, right? They take the artwork and against the artist's wishes that is like so blatantly written literally on the artwork itself and in the caption, hey, don't repost it, whatever. They literally just ignore it, repost it. Even worse, run it through AI, which is again so clearly against the artist's wishes. It's just nasty, man. And it just sucks that it's like caused us extremely talented artists to be driven off the platform essentially because they feel like they can't post their works anymore. Otherwise, people are going to be yoinking it. AI art is hurting the art industry and the creative industry in general in more than one way, and this is another situation. So this is a reel posted to Instagram by user Muda Sheep.
Generated art is actually harmful, and here is why. People think that the cover for my game is AI generated. It is not. It was created by an artist called Marcela Bolivar. And here is her profile. Here is her usual gloomy style. She is a Magic the Gathering artist. I think the style fits my game very well. Here are the layers. You can move around the angel. You can move around the wings. But this is actually harmful to my game because people don't click on the image because they think it's AI generated. And publishers are turned off by the idea that I'm using AI-generated images. I'm not using AI-generated images in my game. And I will not change the cover of my game. If human-made art is the reason why this game fails, so be it. I will go down with the ship. But imagine I had a company of like 20 or 50 people depending on this game's success. I would probably have to change the cover. Is that the future that we want to live in? I don't think so. AI-generated.
Imagine being somebody who develops a game, it's your passion project, and I taught a game design class at UC Berkeley, so lore, but it's a passion project. It's something you dream of, you think of, and you work on for a very long time. And of course, like, you want to go and hire a legitimate artist to make your work, and you do just to get a bunch of people accusing it of being AI when it's not. This is the artist in question. Their Instagram handle is Tropical Gloom, Marcella Bolivar. They are a German-based artist, and as you can see, all of their artwork has the same spooky, gloomy, mysterious vibe. Like, their art is so pretty, and looking at it, it just makes me kind of like feel things, which is the beauty of art, right? And if you scroll down their page, this is back in 2015. Oh wow, their art has looked like this since the beginning of time. Does it mean they used AI? It didn't exist back then. Just sucks to be in a case where like you hired a legitimate artist and people think it's AI, and in fact people don't want to play your game because they think it's AI. Like, this is a different level of damage that AI caused beyond what like is already be imagined, right? So this is their game called Faith in Despair, and this is the cover art. Absolutely gorgeous. It's set to release November 12th, and the game looks super sick. So I really like the blurb. Welcome to hell, Faith. Prepare your cards with triggers, actions, and modifiers, and play a grim game against death for eternity. And if you scroll down, right here, featured artist, cover art by Magic the Gathering artist Marcella Bolivar, in-game card illustrations, and I'm going to butcher all of their names, I'm so sorry. Vergvoctor, Marvin Blattert, Vil, and Gwenny Patu. If you want to support the artist, you should drop them a follow. And for the game, if you want to support it, you can definitely add it to your wish list. One of my friends is a game developer. Her content is super sick as well. This is her, Sondering Emily. And I asked her and she told me that the reason why like indie game devs and game devs in general really try to get people to wishlist games is that the more wishlists you have, the higher up you get bumped in Steam's recommended. And you can even make it onto like the main page if you get enough wish lists. That's one way you can go help out a creative who is making a game. So, you know, if you want to drop a support, it's one little click. But yeah, it absolutely sucks to see this because Muda literally did everything right, made the game, hired an artist, and people are just harping on them because the art looks like AI. But anyways, I will have Muda, the artist, and the game link down below so you can go check them all out. If you like this video, I appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. Don't forget to check me out on Etsy. I sell digital art there, like emotes, overlays, and stuff, and I have a coffee with free resources like a free sponsorship guide. And if you're seeing this video, I'm gonna be on vacation to Asia for 3 weeks. So I have a travel Instagram, @catliente_IRL is the handle. So if you want to check me out, I post like travel content there and stuff like that. Feel free to, or you don't have to, no pressure at all. And yeah, so I hope to catch y'all there or in another video.
Lost media as a whole is fascinating, literally everything about it. It's something that brings a lot of people together, trying to find something they felt like they had lost or never had in the first place. However, there are times when rumors and speculation get out of hand. While some things might have a shred of truth, some pieces of lost media just don't exist. Today, I'll cover 15 pieces of non-existent lost media. Shima Shima Tora no Shimajiro is an educational children's anime made by the studio Benes in 1993. The show follows the adventures of Shimajiro and his friends as they discover Challenge Island. The show is most known for its toilet training skits, which turned into a meme in America. The show has since had 3 sequels and is one of the most popular children's anime in Japan. Rumors would eventually swirl around that the show had an English dub, with one person claiming to have episodes on VHS. It was said by the preschool port that the show was dubbed by Sinar, the company that made Caillou, and that had previously dubbed Koala Boy Koki. According to them, they changed the name of the show to The Adventures of Shimajiro and some aspects inside it, like character names and changing Challenge Island to Animal Island. However, a Lost Media Wiki user was able to get in contact with someone at Benes, and they said that they had never licensed the show to any English-speaking company, so this means that the show was never dubbed into English. In 1963, X, The Man with X-Ray Eyes, was released and directed by Roger Corman. It starred Ray Milland as Dr. James Xavier, a man with constantly increasing vision powers that would end up driving him mad. The released ending showed Xavier stumbling into a tent and ends up following the advice of an evangelist to pluck out the offending eye, leading him to blind himself. In the book Dance Macabre by Stephen King, he claimed that an alternate ending existed, where Xavier claimed that he could still see, making his effort pointless. However, in a 2017 interview, Corman stated that this ending doesn't exist and that King had just written an ending for the film after watching it. However, he did express interest in possibly remaking a movie of the ending that King wrote. VeggieTales is an insanely popular Christian series made by Big Idea in 1993, and it's a show I have fond memories of. Daniel O'Brien worked at Big Idea in the late 90s until he was fired in 2002/2003 after their bankruptcy. Later on, someone had asked O'Brien if there were any segments of VeggieTales that didn't make the cut, to which he replied, "No, but the animators used to make joke alternate endings to shots where characters would die." The only proof of these endings was on O'Brien. It wasn't until 2019 until someone asked about the endings and he cleared things up by saying, "Curses! This clever person has foiled my plans to con everyone into thinking that some people made some jokes." So, this shows that he was only joking and that these endings don't exist. Pecky was supposedly a maze game developed by Phoenix Games, a company known for ripping off other games, set for the PlayStation 2 with a release date in 2004. The game was most known for its box art, which appeared on many lists for the worst box art, and of course for it being an obvious ripoff of Pac-Man. That is all we had of the game, leading many people to think it might have been a hoax. It wasn't until YouTuber RetroDetect dived into the search for it, finding out that the box art was an image stolen from a ray tracing competition, and how the game had never made it past the concept stage. So this game seems to be just another Ket Croc. New Kids on the Block was a proposed NES game that was going to be developed by the Parker Brothers, who were known for making board games at the time, based around the iconic American boy band, probably during the height of their popularity in the late 80s. David Crane, a famous video game designer, was also hired to help. There is little information about it though, since it never made it past the concept stage, and all that exists of it is a prototype box. The box seems to have an interesting story according to the Nintendroid blog though. They said, it made its way to the offices of a now-defunct gaming magazine, Electronic Gaming Monthly, where staff confirmed to have used the box as a hockey puck and a drink coaster. After some years, it went home with former EGM writer Andrew Barron. Unfortunately, Andrew Barron passed away on July 26, 2009. His wife sold off a collection of his oddities, one of them being the famous New Kids on the Block box. It was sold on eBay for $589 by Tracy Barron, even though the buyer ended up not paying for it. When asked about the listing, Tracy said, "Honestly, this box doesn't have much value to me personally. Some people said they were interested, so I listed it. What it gets bid up to is out of my control. I was surprised at the price too." Most of the English and Japanese dubs for Hamtaro are accounted for. However, the episode The Worm Scarfcapade is rooted in mystery. There's very little information about the episode, and no info about it was ever found on any of the English home media releases. For unknown reasons, the episode was included on a 2007 Malaysian VCD release of Season 4, but trying to find this out-of-print disc has been very difficult. It's cited on the box that the episode was in English, but that hasn't been proven. But it was proven that the episode doesn't exist due to an official episode list, and that one company, Yes Asia, seemed to have made a mistake when listing the episodes. They skipped over the episode Laura's Valentine for some reason, even though that was shown on the Season 4 disc. So it's thought that maybe The Worm Scarfcapade is a misunderstood name for the real episode Laura's Valentine, or that it was simply a printing error on the release. And according to one comment on the LMW, it could also just be a case of mistaken identity for a Season 1 episode, Knitting Craze, and that the company who released the disc had a more literal translation of the original Japanese title, Totoko Atsutaka Mafuo Daisakusen, before the dubbers changed it. While the Doraemon episode, The Mystery of Goody Land, is real, the US adaptation doesn't seem to exist. The original episode centered around Nobita, Doraemon, Shizuka, Gian, and Tsuneo going to a second world after a floating cake, only to discover that the land around them is made out of sweets, and that it also seemed to be a candy-themed amusement park. The park ended up disappearing right underneath them, along with all the candy in the world, so the team set out on a journey to find the stolen park. For the US version of the show, which is known as Doraemon Gadget Cat from the Future, the episode was going to have the title Adventures in Candyland, and was going to be dubbed by Bang Zoom Entertainment and TV Asahi Corporation. It was supposed to be a special 30-minute episode instead of the typical 15-minute segments to be released on August 28, 2015. Despite the episode showing up in TV guides, it went unaired. It's rumored that the episode didn't air due to the Disney ABC television group, the group responsible for airing episodes of Doraemon on Disney XD, thinking the episode may cause kids to overindulge in sweets. Adventures in Candyland ended up being replaced by another episode, Nobi Nobi He's Our Man and Gone with the Sneeze. Later on, in a YouTube livestream by CLW Entertainment, the US voice actor for Gian, Kaji Tang, would appear as a guest. Eventually, the topic of the missing episode came up, and that's when he revealed what actually happened with Adventures in Candyland. Disney had axed the episode before the actors had started recording, which I think is quite disappointing. Disney needed to approve each episode before they started dubbing, and while I understand why they did it, I find it quite ridiculous. Animaniacs is a pretty well-known comedy skit series created by Tom Ruegger that featured many iconic characters like Pinky and the Brain and Yakko, Wacko, and Dot. They are also no stranger to the lost media community. However, one character, Minerva Mink, only had 2 skits released about her, which I found kind of odd. Because of the suggestive nature of Minerva, there were many rumors of unaired skits featuring her. Another strange thing about the skits is that she was edited in post-production by Teletoon Radio to be more family-friendly. Years later in 2016, Ruegger hopped on Reddit to participate in an Ask Me Anything topic. One user asked him about the missing shorts, to which he replied, "Sorry, there are no unaired Minerva shorts, but she did have a significant appearance in the Animaniacs comic books." The Cheetah Girls is a Disney Channel original movie trilogy from the early 2000s. Each movie featured Adriana Ballon, Keely Williams, Raven Simone, and Sabrina Bryan working together as a musical girl group sharing the same name. The first film garnered a lot of success, so a TV series was considered. There is little to no information about the series, but it was rumored to take place after the first movie, with the group wanting to focus solely on their music careers. MTV News claimed that the production for the show began in 2004, but there are statements to refute that, since other people say that the production hadn't even started. The show ran into problems in the very beginning, due to Raven Simone being busy with That's So Raven at the time. Raven recalled that time as conflicting for her, since she wanted to focus on the former and not have to juggle another large role. Rumors swirled about a potential pilot, but those were put to rest in 2019. Both Keely Williams and Sabrina Bryan said that a pilot doesn't exist, and there was never anything tangible with the show. It didn't even have a script, or anything like one. Now, this one might be the shortest entry on the list next to Packy, since there is so little information about it. Anyways though, Felix the Cat Puppet Party. It was a cancelled TV show by both Felix the Cat Productions and Flexitoon. Felix, Poindexter, and the Professor were all supposed to star as puppets built by Flexitoon. According to the one promotional pic we have, there were supposed to be 13 30-minute episodes and 60 10 to 15-second interstitials. When someone asked co-founder Craig Maron about the show, he said, "Hi, thanks for asking about the show. Unfortunately, it never made it past the planning stages. Puppets were built as you see, but the producers decided not to go forward. It would have been a great one though. Uncle Floyd was brought in to be the host. Keep checking www.flexitoon.com for an exciting new show about to drop. All the best, Craig Maron." So that leaves us with one image to even know that the show existed, and maybe the puppets are somewhere too. Nothing was ever produced or even written, which I feel is really disappointing for fans of Felix the Cat. I'm not a fan of puppet shows personally, but I feel for those who might feel like they are missing out on something that could have been good. Back in 1990, the Stone Temple Pilots started working on a demo album after gaining some success in the hard rock scene. The band originally started as Mighty Joe Young in 1985, but changed their name when they signed with Atlantic Records. At first, they had a completely different music style. From funk influences to even yodeling, they were completely different compared to the alternative meets metal band we know today. The band comes from San Diego, California, which allowed them to tour around the city and gather a very dedicated fan base. The former demo ended up having several songs being reworked into their studio album Core that released on September 29, 1992. The album was a major success, launching the band into stardom and the honor of being known as one of the most iconic bands of the 90s. However, many songs went unreleased. The most known of these songs is Only Dying, which many people claim is one of their best early works. The song was pretty dark compared to what made them famous, having the overtone of death, loneliness, and helplessness. For unknown reasons, the band decided not to re-record Only Dying, leaving it out of their debut album. Later, in 1993, the band was asked to submit a song for the Alex Proyas movie The Crow. This movie would end up infamous due to the tragic passing of Brandon Lee, the son of martial arts legend Bruce Lee, to an accidental firing of a prop on set. The accident was caught on film, and some say the footage was destroyed, but others say someone might have it. Nonetheless, it's considered one of the many pieces of dark lost media. Because of Brandon's death, the band decided it would be disrespectful to redo the song, and they ended up submitting their song on their second album Purple, titled Big Empty. Despite this, Only Dying has leaked and can be found on YouTube. It was even on the 20th anniversary Core album. Speculation about the 1993 version went around, but Robert and Dean DeLeo, members of the band, debunked those rumors in a Rolling Stones article in 2017. With over 1,000 episodes, Pokemon has had its fair share of controversial media since getting its start in 1997. From Electric Soldier Porygon, holiday hijinks, Beauty and the Beach, and the subject of this entry, The Legend of Dratini. The episode in question aired on November 25th, 1997, episode 35 out of 52 of Pokemon Indigo League, but it would never air outside of Japan. The episode revolved around Ash, Misty, and Brock heading to the Safari Zone where they meet Kaiser, who tells them a story about Dratini. As they set off after it, Team Rocket eventually would arrive and try to get info out of Kaiser and set up a plan to capture Dratini. American company 4Kids banned the episode after seeing a weapon pointed at Ash, which violated their strict censors and worried that it might not fall under kid-friendly guidelines. It also violated terms with the Federal Communications Commission, or the FCC as most know them. Footage of the episode can be seen in the PokeRap, so we at least know that 4Kids has the episode. Fans of the show wondered for a while if a dubbed episode was hidden or possibly archived somewhere deep within 4Kids. But it wasn't until Brock and James's English voice actor, Eric Stewart, said that a dubbed episode does not exist. Despite this, the episode has appeared on English websites listing every episode with a description included. Disney Channel's launch in 1983 was successful with the programming it had at the time, with shows like Welcome to Pooh Corner, Good Morning Mickey, and Contraption, and those programs would go on for many years. One show that was announced, though, Dreamfinders, never ended up releasing. The show was based on the Epcot attraction Journey into Imagination. It changed to Journey into Your Imagination in the late 90s, and then finally settled on Journey into Imagination with Figment. Man, that was a mouthful. The history of the ride is very tumultuous, and Bright Sun Films and Defunctland both have great videos on the topic that I'll leave down below if y'all are curious. Anyways, back to our regularly scheduled programming. The show revolved around a group of children in the real world meeting Dreamfinder, or Old Eli as the show called him. Then they traveled to the realm of imagination. Conflict ensues as it does with most shows. The villain in Dreamfinders is known as Fear, and he uses his henchmen to try and get the protagonist dragged into the abyss of bewilderment. Each episode was supposed to be an hour long with weekend airings. While they never started production, Old Eli did make an appearance at the launch of the Disney Channel on April 18th, 1983. The search for the show seemed to start on December 12th, 2016, after Lost Media Wiki user CCI Tenny, forgive me if I butcher that completely, made a thread on the forum trying to find people to help him find Dreamfinders. 4 days later, user The Raincrafter was able to contact a screenwriter of the show, Doug Williams, and got their hands on the script for one episode, just in time. Williams also had a reason why the show never happened. He said, just as the show was building ahead of steam, Michael Eisner took over as head of Disney Studios and shut down production for no apparent reason, other than it was common practice when there's a change of power. The script was digitized soon after and posted on the forum for the search, along with the emails they shared. It was a very exciting find for sure, as I was able to give more insight into the show. The show could have been iconic, especially with the ride to go along with it, and I really wish it had been made. I don't know guys, the ride that inspired it, though, seems to have changed a lot in recent years, and it's disappointing people. So I think Disney missed out on a pretty good opportunity. Croc 3 Stone of the Gabos. Now, this one brings back the days of me scrolling through the Lost Media archive when I was first getting into Lost Media. Spoiler alert, it was a hoax. Anyways, this game was supposed to be a sequel to the Croc series by Argonaut Software that was being worked on between 2001 to 2005. But Argonaut closed down, and the rights of Croc were given to ZeniMax, famous for the Elder Scrolls games and Fallout 76. Yet Jen Saz, co-producer of the original Croc games, has the rights currently. It's set to release on the PlayStation 2, GameCube, and Xbox, while taking place right where the second game ended. Croc would face Baron Dante and save the Gabos once more, but Dante had a plan. He had, pause for dramatic effect, a spell that makes Croc have to find an artifact to stop him. I think we've heard that idea somewhere before. I don't know. Maybe I'm making things up. Who knows? The game was also going to have an explorable hub to make it easier on newer young players, similar to what Spyro Year of the Dragon had. Multiple player functionality was possible, and with a new character, Ginger, who was a love interest for Croc. The composer Justin Scarvona was also set to return. While development started in 2001, Argonaut split into 3 separate teams to help develop the game with 10 people each, and that caused the game to change many times. Croc's voice actor also didn't return, and the engine they were using was very unstable. Brender, their in-house engine, pushed consoles to their limit, but they continued to struggle since they wanted to stay true to their word and keep the series as a trilogy. A prototype of the game was going to be leaked by a past employee of Argonaut, but they stopped that notion pretty quickly. The employee was only able to release some info since, and I quote, because ZeniMax is a cease and desist crazy type company. Unseen 64, though, would end up being the catalyst for the whole thing being revealed as a hoax. According to their info, ZeniMax had never canceled the project because they never had it. Jen Saz, the co-producer previously mentioned, still had the rights to the series and was planning to use Croc in another game. Unseen 64 also contacted Bethesda, who confirmed that ZeniMax, a subsidiary of theirs, never owned the rights to Croc. So I don't really understand where people get the information to make these hoaxes, unless they are really good at making things up. It all started on November 19th, 2011, with a forum post and an Amazon listing. Christopher Robert Zimmerman had posted about DVDs coming out on the 22nd, just 3 days later. It's the first known mention of one of the most famous pieces of lost media, A Day with SpongeBob SquarePants. CRZ said about the movie, I found very little on this one. Maybe they're trying to keep it under the radar and avoid litigation. It was clear that this movie was not made by Nickelodeon, making it a mockumentary of sorts. It wasn't until the next year, on New Year's Day, that a user on Twitter named @TheDanielShawn said he was watching the film, yet they have seemed to privated their account in recent years. A theme song would also be leaked, but I doubt that it's real. Little information came out about the movie after that, until Blame It on Jorge covered the movie in his Top 20 Lost Kids Films, and then a Lost Media Wiki article followed. The synopsis for the film says, in this mockumentary, SpongeBob lives above ground like all Hollywood superstars. Afraid that SpongeBob is becoming old news, his boss runs a contest called Spend a Day with SpongeBob. The contest makes SpongeBob the talk of the town, as thousands of kids enter to win. The lucky winner is Seth, and he's ecstatic about his day with SpongeBob. However, the day becomes a roller coaster ride as things do not go quite the way they planned. The real search for the film didn't seem to start until 4chan thread was created on August 4th, 2015, and more information was revealed. The boy on the box art is nothing but a stock image, and that Innovision Films doesn't exist. It's possible that they could have been used as a placeholder for Regal Films, who was actually behind the movie, or maybe it was another way of avoiding legal problems. Regal Films would prove themselves to be quite suspicious though, since their website had a Trojan virus, and some thought they were even a money laundering scheme. The image of SpongeBob's house had been stolen from an artist too, named Jorge Pacheco. The thread did have significant traction, and one of the bigger moments in the search was when a possible former employee posted on the thread on August 20th, 2015, talking about how he, one other friend, and Lorenzo worked for Regal Films, and their involvement with A Day of SpongeBob SquarePants. They said, and I quote, I worked for Regal Films up until 2012. It was founded by one of my childhood friends who wanted nothing more than a quick buck. It's not a legit production company. It is run out of that friend's house, and the only employees were me and another friend. Pretty much equal to a bootlegging ring, though not totally illegal. Though it is true we made many DVDs that were simply slideshows. We also got our hands on a few semi-major productions that the studios wanted nothing to do with. A Day with SpongeBob SquarePants was made by Viacom without involvement from any of the regular SpongeBob crew after the success of the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. As such, the cover art is not even remotely reminiscent of the film. We were told to locate any semi-relevant clip art that looks SpongeBob-ish, but not to use any assets from the film. The unauthorized mockumentary thing was put there to throw people off. The plot was pretty simple, but still only vaguely related to the online summary. Basically, Patchy, played by definitely not Tom Kenny, wins a contest to spend a day with the Bikini Bottom gang, and he actually gets to. He everything up initially, but soon fixes it all. It was a mess. The whole thing was pretty much one reference to an episode after another, and when I say reference, I mean verbatim reenactment with Patchy thrown in awkwardly. And like I said, there's no real conflict, though several Plankton schemes are recreated. The animation was actually pretty good, not show level, but official looking. Every screenshot in this thread is fake. Other than a brief, probably no more than 3 minutes Patchy segment, it is totally animated. Nobody was played by the regular actors. My guess is this was kind of a reverse pitch pilot, produced to give the SpongeBob crew an idea of what Viacom wanted, but it never went through. Now, why exactly did Viacom just give it to us? No clue. My guess is that they didn't. That's just what we were told. Why is it so hard to find? Only a small number of copies were produced. Same goes for everything we make. Unfortunately, I had no desire to see this again, so I didn't take a copy of the DVD. The files probably still exist on my friend's computer. For whatever reason, he was ultra protective of our data, not letting us work on things from home or other computers in general. Trust me, I know you guys are committed to tracking it down, but it's not worth it. It's not terrible, it's not amazing, it's not even that much of a piece of history. I can see if I can do something, but I'm telling you guys, it ain't worth finding. A lot happens after that, and I could go over the whole timeline if anyone is interested, but I believe others have done it first. Rebel Taxi also made a video about the search post-4chan thread, and had a call with MVD. While his video brought more people into the search, it was also met with strong criticism over a fake-out and a tangent about Hastings, an entertainment store. MVD would come up again multiple times as the search continued, but they would end up saying it was just listed and inevitably cancelled. There still may be promo DVDs around, but not any full film. It's like a rabbit hole of lost media. However, I'm gonna try my best to condense the rest. The person who made the film was found, but he goes by the name Mr. Orange to maintain his privacy. He gave his reasoning why the film wasn't out yet, with things like legality concerns with Nickelodeon and Viacom, and not having the funds to make the movie. So, a plan was set to start a campaign to get enough money to make the film, but as far as I know, no fundraiser has officially started. In 2016, after Mr. Orange was contacted, many rumors surrounding the film were cleared up, and 5 pages of the script were found. So, there are 15 pieces of non-existent lost media. The whole concept of fake lost media is weird to me, especially for those who make them just to upset me, or for the people who just live to cause drama in the movie.
Sure you have it?
I know I have the next schedule.
I think lost media is supposed to bring people together, but what do I know? Anyways, thank y'all for watching. Leave a like and subscribe, but only if you want to. I'm trying to hit 2K subs by the end of September. If y'all have any video ideas, please let me know down below. And don't forget to let me know your thoughts too, because I'd love to discuss them. But I hope you guys have a fantastic day.
Can I be frank with you guys? Into it right now, so don't go anywhere.
Who's that Pokemon? It's Fred Burger!
Yes.
Cartoon Network's Yes Era was launched on April 3rd, 2006, and would be the network's 4th official era. And the most notable thing about this era is that it opted to use assets from the Now hold your horses, hold on. I'm gonna get to these 4 in a sec. But the biggest thing about this era is that it took a lot of the CN City assets and ideas and used them for the bumpers of this era, which would have been completely fine, but I think my first gripe in all this is, who on God's green earth opted for the city to look like this? Who?
What the is this piece of
It's like they were trying to make a new version of CN City, and midway they saw a Skittles commercial and based their whole design off of that. Or maybe their goal was to just have kids experience seizures early on. The combinations of red and purple did not clash well with the yellows and oranges, and honestly, how can you not puke watching this? Cause that's honestly what it looks like. Puke! Like, these look like the colors I'd throw up after mixing all the drinks at the fountain at McDonald's. How the wiki describes it though, the city's new design consisted of different assets of CN City, such as the buildings and landmarks, and gave them more of a refined look. The color scheme, as you can see, would use more dark, flat, and quote unquote psychedelic colors. Now I looked up what psychedelic colors were, and which I think honestly explains when I look at some of the now/then bumpers, it's like I got hit with a flashbang. But yeah, besides this era looking like Rainbow Road, this era decided to have these 4 characters essentially be the poster children for this era. In that being Cheese, Billy, Blue, and Fred Burger. You can basically look at them as the 4 lords of this era based off their heavy presence in the promotional marketing for it. Now again, I wouldn't have a problem with this branding choice, using certain characters to push an era for promotional reasons, and I get that. It's been done before. But my goodness, did this era do these characters no justice. Looking at how these characters act in the bumpers, not only do they receive their own standalone bumpers, but I don't know about you, but they don't seem like they should be there. Like, I get the sense that the characters I'm seeing aren't themselves, or they're too much of themselves. Like their portrayal just seems off. Take this all in comparison with the era we got before. CN City might have had the best portrayal that we have ever seen with most of the Cartoon Network characters. Blue's portrayal in the CN City bumpers was very well written to how he was in the show. Real bratty, a goofball, constantly doing things that would get him into trouble. The whole 9 yards. Like, it's very believable that he used himself as a flag or even paint on the sign of Foster's home. In the Yes Era bumpers, he's beatboxing, but he's not really beatboxing. The bumper is just edited to make it look like he's beatboxing. He's also a certified truck driver in this one. Okay. And some of the more normal ones don't really do anything clever with him. Nothing that blows me away, honestly. But I get it, because the whole idea behind these bumpers were to have characters basically doing random things. Or maybe I don't get it. Like, why would they be wasting 5 seconds of your time, 10 seconds of your time doing nothing? Like, it's just, I look at what we got before and everything had a purpose to it, but I'm going to get more into that in a sec with the previous era. Take another example. Billy is a character that is really hard to freak up. He's not that complex to portray. CN City portrays Billy in the best possible way in less than 10 seconds. A simple bumper of him eating trash. That's it. Straight to the point and hilariously effective. Some of the other bumpers before had him at his house, in the cemetery, areas that very much fit his character. Now, I don't know what the Yes Era was thinking putting Billy in these long, drawn out bumpers, but it was not the right move. Like, I get it, he's supposed to make you think, man, what the heck is this kid talking about? My goodness, he's stupid. But here, it just doesn't hit the same. And is it me, or does this animation look off with Billy? Like, I can't tell if this is Cartoon Network or PBS Kids with how they animated him. The animation wasn't very Billy and Mandy-like, for lack of better term. And then you have Cheese.
I stole the schedule, Joel. Which means we can see
Why is he here exactly? And lastly, you have the main man, Mr. Yes himself, Frederick Burger. So you mean to tell me that we traded in a majority of the CN City roster for him? This guy? This demonic green elephant with a nacho fetish? Him? To be honest, I'm gonna tell you right now, Fred Burger was never funny to me growing up. I never saw him as comedic. At times, he just felt shoehorned in as, we gotta put one of those characters in that, he likes nachos and, he's there for comedic relief. He's there to make you laugh. I wasn't laughing. And the fact that they used this man for majority of the promotional bumpers is extremely jarring to me. As a matter of fact, looking at some of these posters that were used to promote the era, was it funny? Did it make you laugh? It didn't make me laugh. And I cannot stand to watch something as annoying as this again.
I like music. I do. I like music that goes like la 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 la.
Cartoon Network, since its inception, built its branding around a slew of diverse characters, both young and old, big and small, original and acquired. It never really placed a focus on one specific character to lead the pack. So to see the green elephant, who isn't a main character in his respective show, might I add, it failed to set the tone for the rest of the era. And it kind of makes me wonder, why does he get an era based...
Schedule, which means we can see what's under there. How did this thing make it on Cartoon Network? Like, he looks like Johnny and Omi had a baby, and that baby was hooked on hard crack, hard-laced crack. Like, whatever kid imagined this thing to come alive, they need to be put in jail. Like, I just remember watching Cheese as a kid, and I just remember him being so annoying. The Brother Ladies episode wasn't funny. Annoying. Him doing that scream, annoying. Him not getting his chocolate milk, annoying. This thing is, no matter what position you put him in, he's annoying. The only thing I'd probably say I liked about Cheese the most was that game on CartoonNetwork.com you played. It was like a Mario style game they made of him. You know, you had to collect the chocolate milk or whatever. And even then, like, that's all I could tolerate from this character. This character needs to be burned with fire or put back in the lab that it broke out of. Hold on, guys. I think I might have just
Schedule.
all blown up.
I know where it is.
Man. Boy, the years were not kind of cheese. See, guys, this is what I mean. This was hard crystal meth to do to you.
Is that my schedule?
One thing about all of the eras before this point is that it was quite apparent what the network was aiming for as far as its overall theme. The checkerboard era had a 90s-centric checkerboard aesthetic. The Powerhouse era was bombastic and in your face with super cartoony animations. The Starburst era had bursts of light appear. And CN City had an interconnected world full of cartoon characters, both young and old, in this city where they can interact with each other. And for future eras that I'll eventually get to, their themes very much fit them as well. Cartoon Network, yes. On the other hand, I'm a bit confused about. Like, you base this whole era around Fredburger's catchphrase?
Yes. Yes.
To what exactly? Yes to nachos? Yes to senpai? Like yes to what? Yes to what? Themes very much fit them as well. Cartoon Network, yes. On the other hand, I'm a bit confused about. Like, you base this whole era around Fredburger's catchphrase?
Yes! Yes!
To what exactly? Yes to nachos? Yes to senpai? Like yes to what? Yes to what? As for the rest of the bumpers, it features some of the other characters saying and doing random things in front of these plain red backgrounds, which I will comment on in a sec. Some other bumpers would also have some text commentating on what said character was doing. Obviously not as clever nor as funny. I just kind of feel like these were just really stating the obvious. I think these types of bumpers were trying to be funny, they were trying to be witty. I think they just ultimately missed the mark. Like, putting characters in front of these plain red backgrounds with no unique design just felt uninspiring. Like, where's the pizzazz? And I know what you're thinking, but Murray, the Powerhouse era had plain backgrounds. Why can't the Yes era do it? Listen, because the Powerhouse era had an organized method to their bumpers. Any background color you saw in them, it wasn't done by accident. And it wasn't solely a design choice. It was done with strategy. In this case, the red backgrounds indicated the late and midnight periods until it was ultimately replaced with black and dark blue because the older TV sets couldn't withstand the color red too much. The Yes era had no other reason to use solid red backgrounds except for it being solely a design preference. And if it was a preference, then it wasn't a good enough reason to go all the way with it. Easily the bumpers I disliked the most were the ones that had characters doing things in front of these red backgrounds, except the things they were doing had been done before in their respective episodes. Like Eddie banging his head in the dirt, Erwin breakdancing, or Billy's little clown Tangelo meltdown. These obviously were all just recycled clips edited in front of these red backgrounds, which to me is just a lazy way to create a bumper. And I just have like little things here that kind of bother me about the era that I ask questions about. Like, why is Eduardo pixelated in this one? And why is number one the only operative featured in this bumper? Where's the rest of the crew? Like, do we really need to keep up the theme of bumpers being random when they come off as more confusing than they do funny? Anywho, moving on. The music used for this era had more of a techno style beat to it. And on top of that, Nicole Vicious, who was the original